I am Brooke, clinical nutritionist and clinical educator here at Vibrant America. And today we'll be talking about food additives and understanding your body's response to common food additives. This webinar is about the importance of being aware of the impact that food additives can have on our health and the unique features of Vibrant's food additive test. So, what are food additives? Food additives are chemicals that are added to food, but also drinks, cosmetics, and medicine to improve their appearance, flavor, texture, or just to prolong its shelf life. Most food additives are man made, petroleum based, and banned in many countries. They provide no nutritional value, and some have been linked to cancer. Many Americans are likely completely unaware that they're even being exposed on a daily basis to substances in their food that are viewed as dangerous. So dangerous, in fact, that they're banned in other countries like Europe. So most people probably just think, if it's available or if it's on the store shelves, it's fine. There are more than 3,000 substances approved for use as food additives in the United States. And according to the FDA, approximately 80% of processed foods in the US contain food additives. To give you some perspective, the European Union also regulates the use of food additives in their food supply, but the number of approved additives is slightly lower than that of the US. As of September 2021, the European Food Safety Authority had authorized approximately 300 food additives for use in the EU. Here are a list of food additives that are used in the US that are tested on Vibrant's food additive tests and that are banned in other countries. BHA and BHT, these are synthetic antioxidants used to preserve fats and oils. They are banned in Japan and parts of Europe because they can cause cancer and have been linked to hyperactivity in children. Red dye number 40, and we'll talk about this one in depth a little bit later on. This is banned in Denmark, Belgium, and France due to concerns about potential health risks, including hyperactivity in children and cancer. Yellow dye number 5 is another synthetic food dye that's widely used in the US, especially in processed foods and beverages. It's banned in some of European countries like Norway and Austria, and they have shown hyperactivity and other potential health risks. Blue dye number 1, also a synthetic food dye. It's banned in France and Germany due to concerns about potential cancer risks. Yellow dye number 6 is a synthetic food dye that's commonly used in snacks. It's banned in Norway and Finland due to concerns about potential health risks, including cancer and hyperactivity in children. Green dye number 3 is a synthetic food dye, sometimes used in candy. It's banned in France and Germany due to concerns about potential cancer risks. And then there's glyphosate. So this is an herbicide. It's banned in Austria and the Netherlands. It has been classified as a probable human carcinogen by the World Health Organization. GRAS. This is a label that's often seen on food additives. It stands for generally recognized as safe, which means that a substance has been determined to be safe for its intended use in food by experts in the field. It's important to remember that while the GRAS label is meant to reassure consumers that a substance is safe, it's not a guarantee. So, how is GRAS determined? There are actually 2 ways. The first is through a scientific review by an expert in the field. This panel can be assembled by a company seeking to add a new substance to their product, or it can be convened by the FDA. The panel reviews all the available information on the substance, including the toxicology, any data on the substance and how it behaves in the body, and then they make a determination on its safety. However, there is a loophole that allows private companies to create their own teams of scientists to declare certain additives as generally recognized as safe. And once those additives are on the list, they are not regulated. GRAS has become a sort of a backdoor for the food industry to add substances to our food supply without FDA approval. And the second way it can be determined is through a process called common use in food. This means that a substance has been used in the food before 1960 without any known harmful effects. They essentially are grandfathered in. For example, salt and sugar are both considered GRAS because they've been used in the food for centuries without any evidence of harm. And there are other food additives that have the GRAS label simply because they are grandfathered in. For example, MSG. This is considered generally recognized as safe by the FDA. MSG was first approved by the FDA as a food additive in the 1950s. As a result, MSG is considered a grandfathered additive, which means that it was already in common use before the current food additive regulatory system was established in 1958. And its safety had already been established through long-term use and scientific evidence. Sodium nitrite was first used as a food preservative in the early 20th century and was commonly used in cured meats. Citric acid was discovered in the 18th century and was used as a natural preservative and flavor enhancer. And many artificial colors were developed in the early 20th century, including the yellow dye, red, and blue. And artificial sweeteners, saccharin, was first discovered in 1879 and was widely used as a sweetener by the early 20th century. Vibrant specializes in testing for food additives. This testing is important to help individuals identify the true cause of their food-related symptoms. As many people don't realize that their sensitivity is due to a specific additive. For example, if you experience bloating, headaches, or skin irritations after eating certain foods, it could be due to the sensitivity to one or more of the additives that are present in those foods. Vibrant's food additive test is an antibody test, which analyzes your immune response to 57 of the most common food additives used in food farming, manufacturing, and the processing of the food. By identifying specific additives that your body is sensitive to, we're then able to develop an elimination diet or rotation diet to reduce someone's symptoms. And it's important to point out that additives may also be absorbed via the dermal route. So, cosmetics, personal hygiene, and body care products. Vibrant's food additive test includes 57 additives in 10 different categories. So we're looking at elements like titanium dioxide, emulsifiers like soy lecithin, flavor enhancers like MSG, food dyes like red dye number 40, gums and thickening agents like pyrogenine, pesticides like glyphosate, which is also tested on Vibrant's environmental toxins panel, preservatives like formaldehyde, sweeteners like aspartame, and there's also a category called Other, which contains BPA and latex. And BPA is also tested on Vibrant's environmental toxin panel as well. This is an example of what our food additive test looks like. There will be a summary page for the food additives someone's reacting high to. The test will distinguish between IgA from IgA antibody responses. And you'll also be able to see a patient's previous results with or any improvements or changes if they are doing a retest. And there will be a comment section about all the specific additives that were outside the reference range so you can know exactly where that food is commonly found or where the additive is commonly found. The symptoms of food additives can vary. It can vary widely, depending on the specific additive, the amount consumed, and the individual sensitivity or allergic reactions. But common sensitivities, the symptoms, and this list is not exhaustive, they include fatigue, brain fog, loose stool or diarrhea, behavioral issues, shortness of breath, migraines or headaches, joint pain, constipation, nausea, and skin irritation or hives. Today, the FDA approves hundreds of synthetic color additives for use in cosmetics, food, and medications. In fact, the synthetic colors red 40, yellow 5, and yellow 6 account for 90% of the color additives in our food. Food dyes can significantly impact consumer behavior, with more colorful foods being more readily purchased. And artificial food dyes are made from petroleum compounds. They are commonly used in food processing because of their affordability and the intense color that's not heat or light sensitive. And they have a long history in the US, with the first synthetic dye being discovered in 1856. Artificial colors may be identified by their name, like sunset yellow, or by their additive number, like yellow number 6. Overall, these additives have no nutritional value and very little purpose beyond improving the appearance of the food. The primary purpose of food dyes is generally to make processed food look more attractive, especially to kids, or to trick their parents into thinking a food contains healthy fruit like strawberries. Despite this, they have potentially detrimental effects on human health. And there are many concerns about the safety of color additives. Not only have certain artificial colors been linked to tumor growth, but they've been associated with behavior issues and hyperactivity and trouble sleeping and allergies in children. And a question I keep asking myself is, when the purpose is purely cosmetic, why is any level of risk acceptable? Some studies suggest that certain artificial coloring can contribute to hyperactivity in children. Another study found that yellow number 5 could be associated with trouble sleeping and increased irritability in children. But a common concern is that artificial food coloring causes cancer. A study has found that the color additive FDNC, or red dye number 3, may contribute to the development of thyroid tumors in rats. But since most research is based on animal studies, further investigation is necessary since there is still little evidence and artificial food coloring causes cancer in humans. Even so, because artificial food colorings are found primarily in processed foods, medication, and some vitamins, this may be an additive that you want to try to avoid. Red dye number 3, also known as erythrocene. This is a red food coloring that's been used in various products in the US since the 1960s. In the early 1990s, it became recognized as an animal carcinogen due to some studies conducted on rats that showed red dye number 3 could cause tumors of the thyroid gland. And in response, the FDA banned the use of red dye number 3 in cosmetics, but still allows it in food. Despite the risk, red dye number 3 is found in 2,900 food products and also some prescription medications. Vyvanse, a commonly prescribed ADHD medication, contains it, which is ironic because the behavioral problems associated with food dyes are often described as symptoms associated with ADHD. And I found this quite surprising. These are foods and household products and medications that commonly contain food dyes that are not so obvious. I personally don't think to check food dyes in pickles or lip gloss. And I really don't think to look for food dyes in pain relievers or cough syrups, and especially not in vitamins. I found this paper on the toxicology of food dyes very interesting. So some key takeaways from this study are red dye number 3 causes cancer in animals. And there's evidence that several other dyes are also carcinogenic. These dyes, 3 of them, red dye number 40, yellow number 5, and yellow number 6, have been found to be contaminated with benzene and other carcinogens. And at least 4 dyes, blue number 1, red number 40, yellow number 5, and yellow number 6, cause hypersensitivity in reactions. It's important to remember, and I want to emphasize the fact that food dyes do not provide any nutritional value and are mainly used to make unhealthy products look more appealing. If you suspect you or a loved one are more susceptible to these certain additives, then get tested. It's not worth it being in your food. Artificial sweeteners are low-calorie or zero-calorie sugar substitutes. For many years, it was believed that artificial sweeteners did not and cannot raise blood sugar levels. But newer research flips that thinking upside down when it's revealed that people who consumed the most artificial sweeteners were more likely to have blood sugar problems. It appears that artificial sweeteners interact with the microbes in our gut, which leads to elevations in blood sugar. In one study, people saw a 2 to 4-fold increase in blood sugar after consuming artificial sweeteners. In the study, aspartame, sucralose, and saccharin were tested. And here's a summary of some of the potential health concerns associated with the consumption of artificial sweeteners. So insulin resistance and diabetes. Studies have suggested that consuming artificial sweeteners may increase the risk of insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes. The reasons for this are not fully understood, but it's thought that artificial sweeteners may interfere with the body's ability to regulate blood sugar levels. And alterations in gut bacteria. So artificial sweeteners have been shown to alter the composition and the function of gut bacteria and promote inflammation, which can then contribute to a wide range of health problems. Depressed thyroid function. Artificial sweeteners may impact thyroid hormones as well. So sucralose in particular has been shown to depress the thyroid function, which for pregnant women could have a carryover effect on fetal brain development. Weight gain and obesity. Despite their low-calorie claims, artificial sweeteners have been linked to weight gain and obesity. This may be because they can interfere with the body's ability to regulate appetite and food intake, leading to overconsumption of calories and weight gain. We're also seeing cardiovascular disease. So some studies have suggested that consuming artificial sweeteners may increase the risk of cardiovascular disease, including high blood pressure and heart disease. The reasons for this are not fully understood yet, but it's thought that artificial sweeteners may interfere with the body's ability to regulate blood sugar and cholesterol levels. Artificial sweeteners have a direct impact on the microbiome. Here I pulled a patient's gut tumor results. This patient has always been conscious of their weight, and so they were consuming a lot of artificial sweeteners in hopes that it would help them lose weight. Artificial sweeteners don't just change the good bacteria in your gut, they can actually kill them. And this is particularly true of Splenda, which after only 12 weeks of use has been shown to significantly decrease populations of good bacteria in the gut, especially bifidobacteria, lactobacilli, and Bacteroides. And this happens with a daily dose only 1/5 of the safe level set by the FDA. Studies have found that consumption of artificial sweeteners, such as saccharin, sucralose, and aspartame, may reduce the abundance of beneficial gut bacteria while increasing the abundance of potentially harmful bacteria such as Enterobacterales. Other studies have found that artificial sweeteners may also alter the metabolic activity of the gut microbiome, leading to changes in the production of short-chain fatty acids and other metabolites that can affect overall health. And honestly, there are so many studies showing the impact of artificial sweeteners on metabolic health. It's unbelievable. The food additive test is a great test to run with anyone with diabetes or metabolic issues. And I wanted to give saccharin the spotlight as I find it quite interesting. Saccharin was first discovered in 1879, and in 1970, it was banned due to concerns of it being carcinogenic. Then, in 1991, the ban was revoked because new research showed that saccharin only caused bladder cancer in rats, but not in humans. Now, in 2019, more studies came out showing that saccharin causes liver dysfunction and kidney impairment in rats and non-alcoholic fatty liver disease in humans. So there's a lot of back and forth on this one. Artificial flavor enhancers are used in food products to improve taste and overall sensory experience of the product. They are often used to enhance natural flavors, balance flavors, or mask off flavors. Additionally, some flavor enhancers can also be used to increase the shelf life of a product to improve its texture or appearance. For example, sodium citrate can be found to be a preservative to prevent spoilage and to also extend shelf life for certain food products. Whereas MSG can improve the texture of processed meats by increasing their water holding capacity. Overall, artificial flavor enhancers can improve the overall appeal of food products and to help create a consistent taste across different batches of the same product. Artificial flavor enhancers ultimately are used to add an umami flavor. They're able to increase food cravings and irresistibility. And therefore, people usually eat more than they should. C is a excitotoxin. This means it can excite nerve cells until they die. It has also implicated a variety of symptoms ranging from migraine headaches, tingling, flushing, nausea, to difficulty breathing. MSG has been a subject of heated controversy since 1969, when a study of mice found that large amounts of caused harmful neurological effects and impaired growth and development. MSG has been associated with an increased risk of metabolic disorders, primarily due to animals that have been linked to insulin resistance, high blood sugar, and diabetes. MSG can go by a number of different names, like hydrolyzed vegetable protein, autolyzed yeast, yeast extract, and flavoring. This study developed and validated a model of brain damage caused by excessive stimulation of a neurotransmitter called glutamate, which is a known excitotoxicity. The research used brain slices from mice that were exposed to MSG to induce the excitotoxicity in the tissue. And they found that the brain slice model was a very useful tool to study the mechanism of excitotoxicity and to test the effectiveness of a potential therapeutic agent called superoxide dismutase. The results showed that it had a really protective effect in inhibiting cell death and restoring healthy mitochondrial morphology, which suggests that scavenging free radicals like superoxide could be a promising therapeutic strategy for offsetting MSG damage or excitotoxic brain injuries. So the takeaway is, if you're going to be exposed to MSG, maybe you're going to go to a restaurant that uses it, consuming it alongside an antioxidant-rich meal could downregulate that excitotoxicity horrors. Food additives, elements. These are substances that are added to the food during production and processing for a variety of purposes. These substances can be natural or synthetic, and could be added in various forms, such as powders, liquids, or gases. Vibrant tests for fluoride, nickel sulfate, and titanium dioxide. And I wanted to spotlight titanium dioxide because this one's very interesting. This element is used to give products a brighter color and shine. It also prevents products from caking and breaking off. It may have a genotoxic effect, which means it may have the ability to damage DNA, which can lead to cancer. But despite the widespread use, studies have been published in the 1960s have raised questions about its safety. In a 2015 review of mostly animals, but also some human studies, found that titanium dioxide did not just pass through the body, which is what research in the 1960s suggested. Instead, the researchers found that the additive could be absorbed into the bloodstream via the intestines and accumulate in certain organs, so potentially damaging the spleen, liver, and kidneys. A subsequent animal study published in 2017 linked titanium dioxide with an increased risk of intestinal inflammation, cancer, and damage to the immune system. This research was concerning enough that in 2019, the French government called for a ban on titanium dioxide by 2020. And I have found that the scientists that are on the fence on whether or not titanium dioxide should be banned, they seem to comment on the fact that given that sweets and candies contain the highest level of titanium dioxide and are mostly consumed by children, there is reason for concern. Given that children have smaller bodies and higher relative doses, and if there's damage to the DNA, and if it's cumulative over time, well, when you expose that to a younger person, then it can have a big effect later on. And I can't mention titanium dioxide without mentioning the pending bill in California that would ban the sale of 5 common food additives and chemicals from all the goods sold, distributed, and made in the state of California. Each of these chemicals are currently banned in the European Union due to scientific studies that have shown evidence that the chemicals are harmful. And the idea here is for companies to make minor modifications to their recipes so that these products don't include dangerous and toxic chemicals. Skittles and many other brand names already make these changes to their recipes in Europe and the other nations that have these chemicals banned. Now we're going to do a quick little game. Can you guess what food this is just from reading the ingredient list? I'll help you out. The answer is it's the frosted cherry Pop-Tarts. And how about this one? Although this one has 11 food additives, not one of them looks very good. Okay. This product is Skittles. So if you're now concerned about our food supply and what food additives could be sticking into your home that are banned in other countries, then I want to give you some tips and resources on how to avoid them. First, read the ingredients. And for medications, you want to look at the dyes in the inactive ingredient list. The Feingold Foundation is a wonderful resource as well. And I really liked using apps like EWG, Yuka, and Fig. The Feingold diet is a form of an elimination diet where foods containing certain harmful additives are removed and replaced with similar foods that are free of those additives. The Feingold diet was originally designed for an adult with a severe case of hives, but Dr. Feingold found that behavioral changes also occurred in his population of his patients. So today, it's mainly recommended for children with attention problems. But the Feingold Association also claims it can help treat asthma, eczema, migraines, or other behavioral problems not necessarily related to ADHD. The Feingold program provides food lists and shopping guides which is a collection of more than 13,000 brand name products that they have researched and that are additive free. And these are my favorite apps. So, the Environmental Working Group, also known as EWG, is a nonprofit organization that provides information and research on a wide range of environmental and public health issues, including food additives. They've created several resources related to food additives that can be helpful for consumers, like their food score database. This allows users to search for information about specific food products and their ingredients, including food additives. And the database will rate the product on a scale from 1 to 10 based on their nutritional value and the potential health risks associated with the ingredients. And they also have their guide to food additives. And this guide provides an overview of common food additives and their potential health effects. Now, YouFat is a free mobile app that allows you to scan barcodes of food and personal care products and instantly see the impact on your health. It has a rating and detailed information on each ingredient, which helps you understand the analysis of each product. And when a product has a negative impact on your health, YouFit will recommend a similar but a healthier alternative of that product. And the image here on the right is a screenshot from the YouFit app. Big is also a really good mobile app. It's a food scanner that helps you find what food you can eat at a grocery store or at a restaurant. And it's designed to help those with dietary restrictions. So if you're following a low FODMAP diet or you want to eliminate food additives, maybe you want to eliminate just food dyes or just artificial sweeteners, it'll give you, it'll help you eliminate those things and you can make, the specific choices within that. And I hope that your takeaway from this webinar is, any child or person with an emotional disruption should be checked for food additive sensitivity. And maybe we should all just move to Europe. Just kidding.